What's up? What's good? What it do? Welcome everyone back yet to another episode of Just Jivin, here with your host Tarik. And today I have my first female co-host, or guest I should say, not co-host, here with me. Welcome everyone. Kira, what's your last name actually? I don't know your last name.
My last name is Hannah.
Your last name is Hannah?
So every other girl's first name is my last name.
Your name is Kira Hannah.
Yes, and it's Scottish. I'm actually from the Hannay clan, which is like the last royal family of Scotland.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's dope. Well, welcome, Kira Hannah. Today, we are drinking. Actually, well, we already had one before, but it's all right. This time, we're drinking Prost. Another one by Prost. Fucking the Dunkel. This is a dark lager. I actually do like a dark lager. Kind of reminds me of, I don't know, some medieval times shit. I don't know why.
I was going to say that actually about the design and the packaging. Mm-hmm. It looks very like the medieval kind of armor print.
Yeah, bro.
Which I'm into.
Yeah. So, well, I'd say cheers, but I guess I should say Prost. Word.
Salud.
Salud. Ah, that's good. Oh, you took a big old gulp. All right, Kira. I like you. Hell yeah. Now, what are we talking about today, Kira?
I think we were going to talk about drugs.
I think we are going to talk about drugs today. Yes. Now, before, and I really thought about this before, but it's like, why not? I don't want to say I do drugs on some, like I sniff cocaine right before this type of shit. No, but I would say I'm a proponent of them. I'm an advocate of responsible drug use. Responsible drug use.
There's a big difference between drug use, abuse, and responsible use.
Yes.
I feel like. Yes,
because as human beings, let's stop pretending that we don't like getting high.
No, and I mean, I think that's like something that is like been a lot in a conversation right now about drugs is like you have to look back at like history. Like people have always gotten high. Mm-hmm. Like people, Aztec Mayans, they were chewing on cocoa leaves. They were taking psychedelics, and like you have to think that was a long time ago. That was when like, people were finding out like what gold is. Mm-hmm. They were creating religion. They were doing math. They were creating the calendar. And it's like all of those things are still very relevant in this day and age. And people like to pretend like drugs just kind of went away. It's like the same thing with prostitution. Drugs and prostitution have been around as long as the mind has been open.
Word. I feel that. As soon as you start realizing that you can make money off of that shit, I would too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why, like, especially like Christianity and like Catholicism were like so like adamantly against that kind of stuff is because they're like, oh, these people are taking our money. I need these people at church giving all their money to me all the time. They shouldn't be out there having fun.
They're spending my hard-earned money, goddammit.
Exactly.
I like that. Now, you were saying earlier about the inequality of people, of the people using drugs, or I guess who uses it or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Was that what you were saying?
The Netflix show I was talking about?
13?
So that one, that's a good one. Everyone should watch the number 13. That doesn't really have so much to do with drugs, but I think the storyline of that correlates with a lot of like the history of like the war on drugs and like the war on minorities. I think are like very much so in the same, especially timeline wise, with like the mass incarceration of blacks after like we got Jim Crow, we abolished all that kind of stuff. And then that was kind of really when the war on drugs started. Crack was really, really prevalent. And we, like I was telling you earlier, we know for sure, like it's in paper that the CIA was intentionally putting crack in prominently black impoverished communities. And then they were just mass incarcerating people.
I mean, that's just been what we've been talking about. I've been told that story since I was a kid, like for a long time.
I mean, those are facts. Those are receipts. People like to deny as much as they can, and But, you know, you just have to look at it for what it is. Like, we have the highest incarceration rate in the entire world. And we also have some of the highest drug abuse and drug problems in the entire world. And I think those numbers correlate a lot with each other. It's just like, you know, it's like the cycle of oppression. And I think those kind of things walk hand in hand. But that's because, you know, people are doing that to other people. I don't think that this is necessarily like a choice that people are making that, oh, I want to, you know, oh, this is what's been happening around me. I'm going to kind of stick to it. It's like desperation and like just being pushed down. Like if you can't escape drug abuse or like that kind of like environment that you're in, I mean, you're probably just going to do it because, you know, you're looking at like young minority communities, you know, if that's the only way you're going to make real money, you're probably going to sell some crack. You're going to sell coke. You're going to sell heroin. You're going to sell whatever gets people addicted to the easiest because, you know, you're going to be making money. You're going to be able to support yourself or support your family.
Well, it sucks because the reason why even any of that shit is a thing in the first place is because of how things have gotten and how the communities have been so segregated anyway. And then with even before like Reaganomics and all that crap with the, you know, war on drugs, that type of ish, even before all of that, there was just the is dissemination. No, I don't think that's the right word. Let's just say disintegration of the communities of, you know, black people and people of color, things like that. So having that shit happen over a long ass period of time, it's like, well, not only do we have this thing that can help me escape this shitty reality, and I do understand the value of escape, but we also have this thing that we could potentially make money off of and not be as impoverished. So I do understand that mindset. I really do. That's why I really want to work on changing it, because within the black community, I really think that we need to understand that while we have been on some, you know, shit has not been fair at all, but we can still figure this shit out. I really believe so. I really think we can. I really think we can get back to a point where it's like, all right, you know, we got some Black Wall Street shit going. You know what I'm saying? We got that wealth going. We getting shit rolling again. I really do think that we can get back to that. It's just breaking the mindset that I want to say not the ease of drugs can give you, but just the convenience, I suppose, because it's really convenient to get shit. I can literally, like, if you can really go anywhere and you can find someone who's like, all right, you want some blah blah blah, and especially if you know one person in the city, all you need to know is like one person. So it's really easy to get drugs. Yeah, all the time, especially in Colorado. Listen.
Oh yeah, I think that, like, you know, like that they say like everyone has 6 degrees of separation. I think it's like 3 degrees with drugs. I mean, you can run into one person, and that person is probably going to know 3 to 5 people that either have it, sell, or use. So, I mean, you know, how many times have I ever gone to a party, like, in Colorado, and, like, you ask one person, hey, like, do you have weed? And they're like, yeah, I got weed, I got coke, I got K.
Oh, yeah.
My friend has ecstasy, you know, like, what do you want? I'm like, I just want some weed.
Like, damn, son, I'm not trying to get the whole arsenal, my guy. Nah, I feel that, because that's the same shit. That same shit would actually happen in New York and in Pennsylvania, too. You know, so I guess I should just come out and say that I've done drugs before. So,
no way.
Yeah, I know. Shocker, right?
Big shocker.
Have you? I don't think you've ever listened to any of my podcast episodes, which honestly makes this even more fun. By the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Good. Then I very intentionally did not listen to your podcast to make this more fun.
Oh yes, that's why. Okay, because you knew that we were gonna be. Okay, I see. It was all premeditated. Good job.
Always.
But no, there was this one episode where I did smoke a little bit, but the editing for that was just such trash, because after that I was like fucking coughing just, you know, for every like couple minutes, and I just I'm just like, all right, this is a bad episode. I'm never smoking on air again. That was the end of that. However, I smoked before, definitely, and I don't I wish that cocaine was more like coffee. You know,
Like coffee?
Yeah, like if we could take or like tea. You know what I'm saying? Take some
Take
cocoa
some tea
leaves.
time.
Yeah, because bro, this shit, I can't stay up. Even with the energy drinks make me fucking shaky. Caffeine makes me just kind of drowsy still.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really do much for me unless I have like 3 cups of that shit. And I'm not trying to fucking have all that caffeine.
Yeah, no,
You know what I'm
caffeine
saying?
makes me feel sick.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like really nauseous and jittery, and I'm like, I look like a crack addict. I'm over here like shaking.
Yeah. I think it's more, I think I'd like to focus, if I can, more about the stigma of drugs for a second, because when people hear me say, well, I wish that I could have cocaine tea, it's like, well, it's only because it keeps me awake. And I have a lot of fucking shit to do.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things to do. And I'm not trying to just freaking pop these energy pills or whatever either.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly why I feel like Big Pharma is so against the legalization of like class 1, class 2, and class 3 drugs or narcotics, is because you have to think, like, you're saying, I need something to keep me awake. They're saying, I'm going to give you legal meth. I'm going to give you Adderall.
Yeah, I don't like Adderall.
No, it's a little methy for me.
I got prescribed that when I was in high school. Like,
really?
Yeah, the fucking like psychiatrist shit, whatever. Was it Adderall? It was one of them.
Yeah.
It was one of the keep you awake shits, and
Yeah.
I did not like it. Ugh.
Yeah, and see, that's another like stigma I feel like about like legal drugs or like really any kind of drugs. Like kids grow up in the hood and they get into coke, they smoke weed, and we're like, oh shit, like that's the fucking worst thing they could do. Like that's not okay with us. And then Big Pharma is going around to all these like kind of mid-income kids' homes and saying your child needs Adderall. Like, they're doing bad in school, you need to give them this drug, which, Adderall, it legally is. It's literally meth missing, like, one molecule. And it's like, they go to the streets and they're like, oh, can't do drugs, like, meth is bad. But here they are making, like, billions and billions of dollars off of, I mean, I've had friends who were prescribed Adderall in, like, middle school. Like, there's no reason a 5th grader needs Adderall.
Right.
Like that to me is a lot more disgusting than some kid on the street going to a party like, I'm going to do a bump of coke.
I agree with that. Because we're adults, and I just believe that more of us have done coke than the ones that we like to admit it.
Oh, 100%. But I think that comes with like the fear of the stigma is like, like growing up, our parents were like, oh, you smoke weed, you do crack, you're pregnant, and you're homeless. Like, it was always just put into kids' brains that it's like, boom, 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 boom.
Go straight from weed to crack.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I remember about like Dare and stuff. Like as a kid,
Oh,
like,
shit.
Like they were like, yo, you're gonna fucking smoke some weed, you're gonna get pregnant and die. 6 months tops. That's all I'm giving you.
I remember those commercials, bro. Oh.
Yeah, and all those kids do drugs now.
Yeah.
Every single kid that they
absolutely.
ever reached out and touched you, they all do drugs. I mean, wearing Dare shirts right now is like an aesthetic. Like people wear them like as like a fashion statement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see you ripping those fat lines over there with your Dare shirt on.
Goddamn liar. Well, I mean, isn't it, what did Dare stand for?
Dare to resist drugs and alcohol or something?
I thought it was like the abuse or some shit. Because I was going to say that as long as you ain't abusing it, technically Dare should be okay with that.
No. I think they were pretty anti anything that's fun.
Well, they should try
They're
some
like,
drugs.
take a drink. Don't take a pill.
Yeah, like...
Be an alcoholic. That's way better. It's legal.
I mean, it's pretty much you're doing kind of the same shit just with a different medium. You're escaping still. You're relaxing yourself. You're switching up your perspective of the mind.
I agree with you 100%, but I don't think that's how like the general public looks at like things that are legal. Like Adderall is legal as long as it's prescribed. You can drink after you're 21. Some states you can drink a little bit younger. In other countries you can drink like whenever. And it's like you look at all this other stuff and it's just like they're just like, this is fine. You can drink every single day and no one's going to judge you. You smoke weed every once in a while when you have an anxiety attack or you're feeling anxious and like you're a fucking drug addict, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's like alcohol abuse is like very, very prevalent, especially in America right now, especially with like everything going on.
Yeah.
I think they saw a rise in like alcoholism this year.
Bro, the liquor stores must be chilling.
Oh
Like,
yeah, this would be the best time to own a liquor store for sure. I mean,
right.
my liquor store is like attached to a gas station and they're open until midnight. And like I've gone in there at like 12:20 and they're like there's a line in there.
Wow.
Like, all right, and it's Monday.
God damn. God damn.
It's a while.
I mean, I've been drinking a lot more. Well, no, not any more than usual. I mean, with these podcasts, if I'm recording like 4 episodes, then that's 4 beers. Mm-hmm. So I guess that does equate to it, but that's not drug. Well, would they be drug? Is alcohol technically a drug? Are we gonna need to get technical up here? Look up the fucking real definition.
I don't think that they classify alcohol as a drug, but I think that like most drugs, I mean, I don't really even know what like the technical definition actually like a drug.
Let's fucking look it up right quick.
Let's look it up. I'd be curious.
This is why we have Google.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Drug definition, even though I'm sure it's not going to give us the right one. A medicine or other substance which has a physiological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body. Okay, so yeah. Alcohol counts.
So alcohol counts. I think that sugar should count as a drug.
Caffeine.
Well, they say that sugar is more addictive than cocaine.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I think it was Harvard University. Don't quote me. It was definitely some Ivy League school. But they actually did a bunch of studies and they took MRI photos of people's brain on sugar versus cocaine. And literally like the exact same part of their brain was lit up on the MRI scan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you have to think about how much sugar is in everything. You can't even have like salty food without sugar. Like Pringles has sugar in it. Why does Pringles have sugar? It's like 90% salt. Ketchup is mostly sugar. Barbecue sauce, like mac and cheese has sugar in it. Any kind of corn product has sugar in it. Like, I think that sugar is a way more intense drug, especially with like kids. Like, it creates a dependency for something so young. And that leads to a lot of, choices as an adult. Kids who are, around sugar a lot more when they're very, very young have a higher chance of eating junk food more in adulthood, which, leads to like a lot of things that are wrong with you. But it's a lot of things that pharma makes money off of. I honestly think that sugar and pharma are like working together because like diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, obesity, these are all things that people are making money off of. For like 20 to 40 years out of someone's life, if you're getting those kind of like in your 20s and 30s. I think it's like a weird investment for them. They're like, all right, we're gonna fuck them up on sugar.
You're getting some conspiracy theory shit.
I am a conspiracy theorist. I'm on it.
Oh, you sound like it.
No, I like to think that I'm aware of a lot of stuff and would like to think that I'm like just playing a game of connect the dots with everything that I learn and you can call it like a conspiracy thing just because like it's not like being like publicized, but like you really have to look at the facts of like this is point A, this is point B in someone's life. Here's all of the things that make sure that this person goes to this spot instead of somewhere else.
That's where I just question everything because how can you really manufacture shit to make people fucking act a certain way? And,
yes. I mean, best like just like thing to describe that is like you have to look at like Hitler. Hitler literally made an entire country hate like all of these racist people enough to like genocide them. Mm-hmm. And he did it pretty fast. Like it wasn't, he didn't take 10 years. He didn't take 20 years. And I've actually been reading this really interesting book. I can't quote it off the top of my head, but in this book, it was actually written by a spy member of like Russia back when like the Soviet Union was kind of going on. And so he actually laid out the Russian indoctrination plan on how to weaken the U.S. enough in a way where they could infiltrate and manipulate the politics, which is actually what we're seeing now. And this book was written like 30 years ago. And so they talk about how, there's like, in 5 years, you do this, this, and this, and this, and people don't notice, right? And then you go on to the next thing, and this takes 10 years. But you slowly take away all these things, and you put things in their place, and they make those things seem normal, right? Whatever that may be, whatever you're trying to infiltrate. And then, you're looking at 20 years, and you're like, then you start making these decisions that no one's going to question because you've already put in all these little pieces through these past 10 years that make this decision okay. Because you've manipulated their mind to think that this is the inevitable outcome by replacing certain things.
I'm trying to figure out how this, because we just went off the wall with that one. What does that have to do with drugs?
So
do you think that they do that same shit? Like, okay, let's with the whole manufacturing things and all that shit. Do you think that that's what they've done with placing the stigma of drugs on the populace? Because I mean, politics aside, Russia interfering with our shit, that's another episode. But if they could do that with the politics, then I'm sure that they could probably do that with other shit from that logic.
Yeah, and I think, I'm saying, like, some Russian guy wrote this, but I think that, like, we do that with a lot of things here. We're doing that with food and, like, the environment and global warming and, like, the treatment of, like, races and minorities. We're saying, like, it goes back to, like, Jim Crow. They're like, oh, yeah, like, you have your freedom, but you can't drink out of the same fountain as me. You can't do this, even though we're, like, on this plane of equality, right? And it's like... you're looking at it and you're like, oh, it isn't that much of a change. So, like, I'm okay with this. So I think they're doing that with drugs, too, where, they're putting all these, like, implications and stigmas on certain things. But at the same time, they're doing it in a different way with other drugs, like meth on the street versus Adderall. Like, they're a molecule away from each other. But we've been grown and kind of, like, implanted upon to think that, like, meth is this disgusting, terrible thing. Like, you don't associate with people who use that. Like, they're not good people. They're not contributing factors in, like, society. And then you have these kids who are in middle school getting put on legal meth. And you're like, oh, this is fine. This is fine because I'm selling it to them. You don't want the street stuff. You want what I'm selling to you.
I see.
So it's just like...
Interesting.
It's like this weird indoctrination kind of a thing that you have to think, like... Same thing with, like, the war on drugs. Like, they didn't just decide to do it in a year. There was, like, a 5-year kind of a thing, and then, like, a 10-year and a 20. And so I think it's, like, I think they have a plan for all the steps in that they're doing, where they're kind of just tweaking the way the public looks at drugs. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Big Pharma doesn't want things legal. They don't want legal mushrooms. They don't want legal coke.
Mushrooms are fun.
Mushrooms are great. Mushrooms are a good time, and and they're taking all these things that nature gives you too. Like, coke isn't like meth. You're not like putting cough syrup and like pain pills in a thing and like setting it on fire and like scraping that shit off of a pan and then putting it in gasoline, right? Like, coke is actually a plant.
Yeah.
Same with weed.
That's all you need.
Same with mushrooms, and so it's like they're trying to take away from like the nature side of drugs, I guess you could say, and they're just trying to make all drugs sound like they come from like a gas barrel. Because growing up, I didn't really know that, like, coke was from the cocoa plant. I didn't know that opium was, like, literally a bulb, Like, I didn't learn that until I was older, and people were doing drugs around me, and they're like, oh, like, didn't you know that this is actually just a plant? And I was like, what? I was like, you're telling me that that's a plant? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, well, fuck.
I like that.
I've been lied to.
This has been good. Let me be clear, and I can't stress this enough, y'all. You giving me the time of day to listen to me bullshit and just act a fool means more than words can ever describe. I truly appreciate it. So thank you. If y'all got a topic you think I might be able to ramble on about, feel free to send it to justjivinpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to see anything else I'm up to, follow the Instagram at Tarik416. That's Tarik 416. And I'll see y'all beautiful motherfuckers here next Thursday for another episode of Just Jivin'.